Hello, 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 everyone. My name is aLex. I'm here with Sun and Moon, Sun and Moon Yoga Studios uh, portal, one of our venues, I guess, in this changing world. Well, we've got the live venue, and we have these virtual possibilities. So I'm here every Sunday morning for a little under a half an hour, and to have us meditate, to provide a venue for us to meditate together. This virtual one that you can join me 10 o'clock Eastern time on Sundays in person here or through the computer or later. So part of my own practice, or part of what I'd like to offer here, I've been speaking a lot about the themes in the year plus that I've been offering this time. And I think it's relevant because the meditation practice is not separate from the rest of our life. And because various energies accost us as we sit, and how we meet those is so important. And so our meditation practice, the sitting, the stillness, the dedication to the time together, it is its own thing, and yet it is not separate from all of the manifestations of life and all the ways we relate to everything. And in this life, there's always something relating to something else, if not more. So we're always in relation to, and yet what meditation allows us to tap into is that unity that is prior to all of that gives birth to all of that, and that is always here for us. And in a sense, there's an effort to meet that and find that, and yet there's no effort. So there are all these paradoxes inherent in this as well, in this being and always becoming. So today, one of the more manifested parts, I'm thinking of the practice of counting our breaths. And so I use a 3-part mantra to help me enter the portal of presence, of stillness, and meditation. And I often share that here. And there are 3 code words that I use. One is ground, the second one is sound, and breath. And you've heard me speak of these before. I use them almost every week. I use them for my own practice. So ground, I often spend a lot of time on ground, on that gravity and its corresponding levity, the uprightness. And it's so valuable. I may say a little bit more about that, how it really helped me today in a tight day and a half, actually, long moment. Sound, even as I say it right now, and by the way, as I'm speaking, you can be preparing your seat or stretching or doing what you need to do with your body to be ready for our 12 minutes of meditation that's coming up soon. And so sound, the moment you hear that pointer, it opens us to what's around and how it's connected to what's inside. This boundary we have of our body, ourself, and how we're meeting sound and space around. So it's sound and space around. And that's sort of the more horizontal, as opposed to the ground being the vertical. And in a sense, then we get the whole 360 spherically experience. Then there's breath. And often I don't spend a whole lot of time on that. Many of us yogis are sort of feel like we got that one. However, It's always good to return to beginner's mind, to the freshness of this moment that we've never met before. So today the emphasis will be on breath and a little technique. There are many ways to attend to the breath, and you can use whichever you like. And the one I'm thinking of today is um, often used in Zen practice, and it's each breath. You could count on the in breath or on the out breath or after the out breath or after the in breath is a count of one for that whole cycle, two, and counting all the way up to 10 if you make it there. And then resuming the count, one, two, three, and so on. And if you have ever tried this before, you will probably know that oftentimes I never get past two, or I get to three or four maybe. And it's so vital. It's so vital to remember, to internalize, to investigate that 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 I'm getting beeps. I want to make sure I'm still there. That when we fail, and what does Stephen Cope call it? The noble failure, when we lose our focus of our meditation practice or whatever practice we're doing, that we realize actually, or not, maybe not realize, but we're open to and see and feel that perhaps that's not failure at all. Perhaps, and Annie on Wednesday mentioned this in her talk in another way, that that moment when we notice our distraction or notice that our mind has taken off in a different direction than where we intend to be, that's an awakening. It's precious. It's active. It's recognition. So, and that relates to the story I want to share. I had a couple days where just falling into patterns of non-skillful relating to myself, to life, to being tight, to being anxious, to being just was not skillful in how I was meeting life. And I realize I'm part of this practice of learning over many, many years now to stop, to pause, and adding the gentleness with ourselves, the compassion for the way we are, the way we've been a long time, the way we're responding, a forgiveness of sorts. And what was so helpful was that I was able to shift to feeling the body. So there was this anxiety, there was fear, there was how do I meet this? There was all these skillful strategies planning, but all of it was not anchored. I realized when I got in the car to make a drive, it was I was not in my body. I was not abandoning. I was not sensing. And the words here, it sort of falls short to really the experience. They always will, but they are good pointers. It was I was in the drive. I was driving, so I'm doing something, but I could also feel my seat on the seat. I could feel the breath. I could feel where am I tightening? What is this anxiety feeling like in my body? And it was actually quite quick for me that the shift happened, that it sort of let go of its grip on me. And in a sense, it was a gift. It doesn't always happen that fast, but it showed me the power of these three elements of ground, where we're really sensing our body in relation to gravity, ground, truly, really, how it is now, not how we're thinking about it. And that we're sensing sound, space around, what's outside me, what's inside me, how that flow is coming in, moving out, the true sensing of it. And then the breath, how the breath is ever alive without me needing to do anything. And yet, the joining of the attention and the breath. So, this practice today of attending and labeling with the numeric decimal system count somehow brings us into the wholeness, and into that availability to creativity, to what is a perspective larger than just our own small one, and opens us to what's the word I'm looking for again? I'm missing a word, something like creativity, but to the arising at this moment, to what we may not have seen before. And that is quite amazing. To how do we be open to that we don't know yet, that is hidden from ourselves? Maybe it's in our own pattern, or to the possibility of this moment. So shall we enter our practice of 12-minute sitting? Check, yes. Hello, good morning. Thank you for the chat there. Oh, my candle went out. Oh, all right. I had to take away the other plant because the cat was chewing on it. She's right over there, sleeping in the sun. Right over there, Minnie Mooch. All right, let's enter the space together. The sound of the bell opening our practice already gives us that pointer in a very sensory way. And we bring our palms together in front of the heart and bow. This gesture and all of our many symbols in our life bring meaning for us. So just feel for yourself what meaning, if you just had to guess, if you had to intuit, what is the meaning imbued in that gesture for you? And when you investigate this way, if all that arises are questions, that's fine too. That's your answer for now. Hold the question. And then I just had a sip of my breath, but I'm going to turn to ground. I often do. I feel in my own body. So you can use these 3 pointers how you need them in setting up and in sustaining the posture, the stillness, the practice. So I really need some support under the knee. Set my mudra and I sense where I find ground through that vertical column of my body, the sushumna, the yogis. So you sense the differences where you might be leaning a little forward or back or to one side or the other. Just find where you're just at center. Just at center. Micro movements, and in a sense, you're not doing it alone, you're doing it in the field of gravity. You're receiving Earth's invisible hug. Invisible but so palpable, yeah? And lining up with that, leaning into this vertical support. You'll sense it. You'll sense more ease in the body. You'll sense the center. And even if there remain certain tensions and tightnesses that have are chronic or new, present, notice if and when you start to wrestle with it, and see if the wrestling can give way to something lighter, easier. Still a kind of attention and effort, but not a struggle. Excuse me. And you might slide into the counting of breath as you're ready, lightly. And you may not, you may choose a different practice. You might just attend to the textures and rhythms of the breath, the spaces the breath, like a breeze, moves in and out of. And even as you're counting, you might sense deep, deep in the belly, lower dantian, softening at the sacral wall in the back, softening at the pelvic floor. Softening at the front of the belly and deep in the center. Relaxing at the roof of this area, the upper belly and the diaphragm, and even in the heart area above, and the throat, and the head, face, scalp, all along that vertical column. And then welcoming, and I like Annie's phrase, making space for whatever arises. Another term is clearing the space for whatever, letting it be there, let the space be available for whatever arises, and our stillness, our practice begins to open us to that which we didn't know yet, the reaction we have, the ancient reaction. It's sort of the actor behind the curtain. Who is often acting from a deep emotional wisdom. who is often hanging on so tightly to protecting or keeping us safe in a very primal way. And who might have peered out before to our consciousness and often likely been met with hostility, with, I don't want you, go away, change. And likely burrowed back deeper into our emotional, cellular, sensory psyche. So in these last couple minutes, as we continue the count, perhaps also notice who is it that is prior to the count, to the body, to the breath. What is that beingness?
What do you got for me?
Your bowl.
Is that mine?
No.
That's the boss. If not, we'll take it.
I was pretty sure it was yours because you're like, let me flip this over and I'll flip this light
Oh,
on.
probably because.
Background noise.
You don't think I was
Right.
doing something else.
Chips in the other bowl of chips, so.
Oh, good, I can cut my hair.
It was really nice having you guys last night, so I'm glad you guys came.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah,
Lovely.
yeah.
Lovely to see folks.
It is, like, Fergie didn't want to come outside, she wanted to go outside, so she was, and he came out.
Welcoming
I'm
all
glad he did.
all that
There was a lot of
arises.
effort for him to take 3 steps.
Yeah, exactly, right? His son made cookies, and he
I
just
ate
had to
them.
come out and pack it so good.
I know that, that's the only thing I ate. Seriously.
Your vegan was very good.
I didn't eat it.
Well, I ate it because Melody's was too spicy for me.
Yeah,
So I was glad that you guys,
I didn't like ball.
yeah, so I just got back from one. Well, on the leash because TJ wasn't that busy on the path. So I got the leash and chased squirrels and she was just darting back and forth.
No, it feels very full, like I was telling you last night, I went out to the gym this morning and it was like, it's talking about 60.
Yeah.
Me and my driver.
Any mooch is gonna help with my bow.
It's like cold weather, it was like this, I'm like, this is pretty good.
It's, yes, so it was really want to go for a hike now. Yeah.
We were talking about it.
So once again, thank you so much for joining me in this meditation. And apologize if the background noise, especially near the end here, is a little much. And I invite you to keep the practice going, however you do, and also keep the gentleness with yourself, the forgiveness going, and just know that it's working. Know that it's working. There's times when I was in that strain I talked about, did not feel like I any of my practices had manifest in any way, but they had, and they did come to fruition for me. They're there. The work is working. Ciao, ciao. See you next time. Thanks.